game, cause see the boxing voice.
Welcome back, gang, for the first time and hopefully many more to come. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and click on the notifications right here, this little bell, so you can get those emails every time we go live.
What's your opinion of the fight coming up? Big Baby Miller, Anthony Joshua, those two guys are facing each other, heavyweight showdown at Madison Square Garden. How do you think that fight plays out, you know?
This is what you call the proverbial put up or shut up time for Jarrell Miller. He's a guy that talks a lot, and now it's his time to shine. And this is the opportunity he's been waiting for, and this is the opportunity he's been given, and it's in his home area, and all the cards are stacked for him to do what he says he's going to do. So now we just have to see if he's going to do it. We know what Joshua can do, and we know that I think Jarrell Miller has had some great performances as well. He's a very good fighter, as is Joshua. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see. I'm interested to see what happens with those two guys, because Jarrell Miller has enormous legs, and even though he's not per se like a one-punch knockout artist, he's a very persistent guy, and he's very hard to discourage. And as we know with Joshua, Olympic pedigree, tremendous punching power, and he's done a lot of great things in his career as well. So to me, it's a very good matchup. So, but for Jarrell Miller, this is that time. When Deontay talked a lot before the Stavern fight the first time, and everybody said, all right, we're going to see what you do when the bell rings. And Deontay put on perhaps one of the greatest performances of his career when he got that shot, that opportunity of a lifetime, right? Well, now this is that opportunity for Jarrell Miller, and I'm interested to see what's he going to do with it.
Now, another fight that's coming up, Terrence Crawford, Amir Khan. Kind of want to get your breakdown of that fight.
Yeah, that's an interesting fight as well. I think Terrence Crawford is a tremendous fighter. He was in the Olympic trials the same year Deontay was, in 2007. People don't remember that. But Terrence Crawford is a guy like us. He's a guy from an area that's not known, for a long boxing history. He's Omaha, Nebraska. We're Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So we've always felt a kinship because we're from that. We don't come from a place where people just give you respect. We're not the New York, we're not the LA or the Chicago where people just instantly say, oh, you're from there. We have to be twice as good to get half as much. And Terrence has that chip on his shoulder the same. He really does, and I love that about him. Terrence Crawford, some of his people are really good friends with us as well. And so we're always rooting for him, at least, in terms of that guy that can on the lighter weight classes, that can come from somewhere that people don't expect you to come from and be as good as he is. Terrence Crawford, I like him.
What were those conversations like when you guys were around the trials? Obviously there was a lot of doubt amongst the Deontay Wilder coming out of nowhere. Yeah. Terrence Crawford. What was that, if you can explain, like your interaction, you and everyone around? Well,
it's just one of those things where when we went in the Olympic trials, I was never more confident in my life. I could not see a way that we would lose in the trials. And the reason is because what we did was we found out what the format was for the Olympic trials. We're going to have to win 4 fights in like 4 nights. And we actually went and we mimicked that. We did 4 different sparring. We went to Columbus, Mississippi, Atlanta, Georgia. One was here and one I think was in Birmingham. And we didn't go hit the bags and we didn't hit the mitts. We literally went, got out of the car, warmed up, wrapped up, got in the ring, did the 4 exact rounds, 2-minute rounds, not even longer rounds, got out and came home. The next night we did the same thing. We had mimicked the program exactly. So we knew exactly what his body would feel like, how we were going to have to handle it. So when we went to the trials, I said, we've got this. And so we just took it and ran with it. And Deontay did a phenomenal job in the Olympic trials and came out 4 fights and 4 wins and became the United States representative in the heavyweight class. As far as being from a place where, it actually worked out to our advantage because we weren't in their camps. We weren't with their program. We were kind of that alien from Mars that just dropped into the thing. and nobody knew really who Deontay was. But when they got in the ring with him, they knew who he was. And one of the coaches asked one of the fighters that had been in the program, he said, "What is it about that kid?" And they said, "Coach, he hits so hard, like he's so strong and determined, you know." And they were right, he was.
Now, I wanted to get your kind of pick. It would be like a future fantasy fight right now that maybe might happen. It would be Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. You speak highly of it.
I can't. That is such a great fight.
I mean, I know you've seen many great fights in the past, and while you're breaking this down, maybe even compare maybe a fight similar to it.
That's, you know, you're almost back to Tommy Hearn, Sugar Ray Leonard, in terms of like 1981. I think that was. I want to say September 16th, but I may be wrong about that. But you're talking about two guys that you can't see losing. You're talking about two guys that, you know, you talk about Spence, like nobody can beat that guy in that weight class. And you talk about Crawford and you say the same thing. Like nobody's gonna beat that guy. So when you put them against each other, it's just a remarkable fight. I really hope it gets made. You know, it's hard for me to pick that one. And when it's hard for me to pick one, that tells you how great it is, because I look at these things from a million angles.
What would you say if you gave one person like their strength opposed to the other opponent? You know, like
I think Spence technically is probably the better fighter in terms of, you know, pure technique and skill set. Crawford, like I said before, Crawford's got that chip on his shoulder, and he's a mean guy in there. In that ring, he's fighting for more than just Terrence Crawford. Like he wants to hurt you, because it's almost like he feels that if this is taken away from him somehow, some way, nobody's going to give him another shot at it. He's like that proverbial pit bull on a pork chop. You know, he feels like he's not from a place where he's going to get 5 title shots just because he's from somewhere big. So now that he's got it, you're just not going to get it from him. And he goes into the ring with that attitude. So that's probably the strength of each guy.
If you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and share. As always, if you want to support us to the next level, head over to the patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice. We have tons of exclusive, from Border Wars, from title, betting shows, the list goes on and on and on. But in addition to that, if you guys have questions for fighters, trainers, and promoters, this is where you can submit them. We will run out, get these questions answered, and put it back on the show just for you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.